every go enjoy television news for ogbonge pidgin English.
For more tori, make una kukuma follow us at Plus TV Africa on top Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Make una subscribe to our YouTube page and for Star Times on channel 308.
Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
Really disastrous for a president
to even say
be unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was
Backfire.
very terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
This is Ajegunle, and today we bring you the incredible story of Hapizu, crippled, but has not allowed his situation to cripple him. He tells me today his story of struggle, how he moved from Gombe to Kano, from Kano to Port Harcourt, and finally lands in Lagos. So this is where he stays. Oh, okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Shigo
ba magana.
Ba matsala bari.
Okay. Okay.
Ina kwana.
Lafiya.
Sunanka ya?
Sunana Hafizu Salisu.
Hafizu Salisu.
Na'am.
Okay. Wani aiki ne kana yi?
Da farko dai kamar yadda na zayyana miki sunana ni dan Gombe State ne. Balanga LJ. Zuwa na garin nan na zo ne bisa ganiyan jin labari da mutanenmu suna dan tuki haka, sai ni ma na zo na dan koya. Ina koya kuma sai na fara tuki, shine sana'a na yanzu kenan.
Yanzu baka bara?
Ban taba yin bara ba rayuwata.
Okay.
Tun ina gida na yi primary school, na yi secondary school, bayan na gama kuɗi sai suka min short. Iyayena kuma talakawa ne, sai ya kasance so yadda zan continue din school din sai ya kasance babu kuɗi wanda zan ci gaba da makarantar, shine yasa sai na kama dan wata kasuwanci haka kaɗan kusa da wani wanda nake dan rabuwa da shi. To haka hannu dan samu na jari na bude shagona. To a hankali abun sai jarin ya zo ya yi yantin hakan nan. Sai wani abokina ya dauko ni daga can Gombe ya kawo ni Kano. Daga Kano kuma sai na wuce Port Harcourt. A Port Harcourt din kuma sai nake irin dan bangaren masu kera takalma haka. Sai nake dan zama kusa da su, sun kera sai su dan bani dan sai da sai dan samu na abinci. Sannan kuma ne ban labari still a Lagos ai gurago suna tuki na shauke. Bari in zo da ina zuwa kuma sai na samu haka ne. Sai ki fito dan rufe ɗakin? The first one I came in Lagos. The time I came with my brothers, I asked them how I will get keke to learn it and driving, so that my brother, I did with him, he lent me the keke and then he gave me the keke working together with him, so that now he don't travel going north. So if he came back, we are working together. Right now I don't have my own keke now. When my brother taking me to Port Harcourt, he told me he have job in Port Harcourt. He told me that I don't know anybody in Port Harcourt, just he carry me from Kano to Port Harcourt, keep me there, go back to North.
To do what? To beg?
I don't understand him the first one. He told me job in there. For his mind, he thinking about if I went that Port Harcourt, I don't know anybody there, but I don't have job there, must be I will beg. So God protect me, I'm not begging in Port Harcourt. If I see someone is begging, then I'm here for my mind. Begging is not good. It's not good. If you're looking like government of Lagos State, even government of Lagos State, they don't want these boys beggars in Lagos. I wake up in the morning on Monday, last Monday, so that I came to tell him my keke, I want to go work. So that one guy came and met me, told me, my bros, I drive in, this is your keke. I told him, yes, it's my keke. He told me, okay, no problem. I will come in to meet you on Sunday. I tell him, okay, no problem. On Sunday, he came and meet me, picture me, and then carry the picture or video, go and show someone is too happy to see me. I'm driving, and then he blessed me with wheelchair. Now the guy come and told me that man he give me wheelchair, so that I'm so happy. I'm very, very happy. So I'm praying for God. God can help us, can help me in my life, can help my brothers and sisters.
That morning I came to see Umaru that was sick, to give him food and drugs. So I met him and I asked him if he had a wheelchair and how he was doing, and he told me he did not have a wheelchair. So I wrote about him on our Instagram page, on our WhatsApp and Facebook page, and somebody indicated, Mr. Michael indicated that he was interested in him to get him a wheelchair. He sent the money, and that was how we were able to get the wheelchair.
Indeed, resilience is key, and hard work pays.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Vicky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
On Plus TV Africa News at this hour, President Muhammadu Buhari has dissolved the Obanobla-led Special Presidential Investigative Panel for the Recovery of Public Property. Tunisia's Electoral Commission on Tuesday confirmed that law professor Kais Said and detained medical mogul Nabil Karoui had won the most votes in the first round of the country's presidential elections. And on the foreign scene, the U.S. has reportedly identified locations in Iran which drones and cruise missiles were launched against major Saudi oil facilities on Saturday. Many thanks for joining us on the News on the Hour and Plus TV Africa. Here are the stories making the headlines. I am Mary Ann Okon. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Nyema, has said that the President, Muhammadu Buhari, will deliver a speech at the General Assembly. The Minister said the President Buhari is fifth on the list of presidents to address the Assembly. The theme for the 74th session of the UN General Assembly is galvanizing multilateral efforts for poverty eradication, quality education, climate action and inclusion. The focal areas identified by the President of the 74th UN General Assembly resonates with Nigeria. The 74th session of the UN General Assembly provides Nigeria a platform to project itself as an important member of the international community. President Buhari has dissolved the Special Presidential Investigative Panel for the Recovery of Public Property, as currently constituted with Okoye Ogbonna-Obla as chairman. The president, in a statement by his special advisors on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, directed the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice to immediately take over all outstanding investigations and other activities of the SPIP. He was suspended by the president on August 14, 2019, following an ongoing investigation of the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, ICPC. President Buhari thanks all members of the dissolved panel for their services. The president looks forward to receiving the final Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission ICPC report on the ongoing investigations of the dissolved panel's chairman. And joining me in the studio to discuss this development is Dotun Hassan. He's a lawyer. It's good to have you join us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So, for those of us who've been following this story, first there was a suspension and investigations into the alleged offences that have been said to be committed by Ogbonna-Obla while he was heading that commission, and now finally the commission has been dissolved. Well, let's start by examining some of the things that led to his suspension.
Well, I will firstly start with this plate that power corrupt and absolute power corrupt, absolutely, and that is the major Abinga and the major crisis that led to where Mr. Ogbonna-Obla finds himself today. Is more or less a self-inflicted failure on his own part, and majorly ab initio, because he made the mess of that office itself, because that office have not even achieved anything when you talk about the recovery of property. And within the legal, my own legal opinion is that the committee itself is an ultra-virus of the judiciary, because how do you recover a property? Have you gone to court? Is there any measure of procedure of you recovering property, or do you
so
just
you're faulting the committee being put together in the first instance?
It is.
You think that it has one way or the other? Do you think that it one way or the other was against the law?
No,
or contradicts the law?
The committee contradicts Section 6 because it is an ultra-virus of the Constitution, whereby one man will just determine a property and how do you identify, do you recover, what parameters, and that's why the man was just junketing from one point to the other, picking on issues that were even not within the confines of of his own appointment, and his character also contributed more to his fall, because believe you me, Obno is more or less like a rabble-rouser, always talking and making issues out of none and making a mole out of it.
But was that not powered or empowered by the office that was given to him? Did that not feed into what you're calling a rabble-rouser kind of attitude?
Yes, well, as far as I see, because I've already stated earlier, the committee ought not to be. What the government ought to do is to have a commission whereby there will be an assessment of government's property. How do you identify government? Is this the one pre-independence, or the one stolen, or the one that is being acquired from government in a shoddy manner through privatization? How do you begin to recover this property? And if you're not recovering this property, for what purpose are we marking all these properties for? You look at in the recent time, there are some recovered property from the former chief of Army naval staff that died, and those properties were given to different agencies of government. To me, it ought not to be that way. If the government is nationalizing recovered property under corruption inflicted, there must be procedure. There must be a court order. The matter ought to have been placed before the court. There must be forfeiture, and the release of such would also...
As much as I appreciate that you are an officer of the law and you're trying to explicitly explain why certain things or how certain things should go, But if we're talking about things of this nature, we have to look at if there's been a precedent or an antecedent under this administration. Have they really done things by the books? For us to be expecting that this will be done by the books.
You know, there is no the office in question is the creation of this administration. It's not that maybe it's not is more or less a creation of political interest to satisfy or just give an appointment to one head or the other to create an office, and that's one of the issues that we are being faced with. There are a lot of special advisors office that are not even in tandem with issues at hand, or does not even have any practical connectivity with governance. So what we are looking at is that this position, yes, the government might have good intention. Yes, there are need for government properties to be recovery of government property, but what are the procedure? Then the act of the National Assembly in relation to this committee, was this committee passed by the National Assembly, or was this just a creation from the offshoot of the presidency? And that's where we are now, we begin to blame Mr. President for this now. The disbanding of the committee, yeah, is long overdue, because Mr. Bono is facing corruption charges. It's not within our political culture to relieve people when they are facing charges. So it's not within our, so we are just seeing a new breed of, maybe this should be a precedent, that if anyone is undergoing a corruption case like Mr. Obno, there definitely the person should, Mr. President should relieve.
But again, just quickly before I let you go, because we don't have time. Again, Obono Blah is not the first to be facing corruption charges or allegations or whatever, and did not step down. There are people who have sat there until they went to court, and so I don't know if this is really a precedent of sorts, or just because his office was not as powerful as the others.
No, it's about interest. It's about the when he as a person contributed, just as I said, is more of a reckless in the management of his power. He went to traverse, he went out of his way to commit a lot of other atrocities outside the scope of his office. Then the other issues that are now around, that are already predating on him, issue of his certificates and other things, that there was no better clarity. So it shows a lot of issues. So the best the presidency was able to do is just to clear the urgent table. So, and I believe if that is done, what Mr. President ought to do is there must be a proper commission that the National Assembly must be able to sanction, and that commission will have a more a more wider perspective of government recovered properties, and that would definitely, if that is also done at the federal level, we need it at the state level, even at the local government, so that all this recovered property should have a purpose for the common man, towards whatever that is recovered should be driven back towards the economy, towards the government, and for the overall interest of the state.
Well, thank you very much. Dotun Hassan is a lawyer. Thank you for speaking with us. Moving on, the federal government says it has taken another determined step in its bid to recover over 5 trillion naira outstanding debt owed the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON. This comes as the Vice President, Professor Oshibajo, formally inaugurated an interagency committee to speedily resolve the challenges in recovering the debts. At the inauguration ceremony, which held on Monday at the Presidential Villa in Abuja, Vice President tasked members of the committee to turn the tide in what has been rather a difficult process, where debtors have continued to default on their payment obligations. About 67% of the outstanding 5 trillion naira debt is said to be owed by just 20 individuals and entities. Professor Oshibajo expressed confidence in the expertise of the team chaired by the chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, Professor Bolaji Owonsoye. to carry out the task ahead. Members of the committee include heads of representatives of AMCON, the EFCC, and the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU. Others are drawn from the ICPC, Central Bank of Nigeria, Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, and the Federal Ministry of Justice. It also acts to prepare a report which will include a debt recovery work plan with specific timelines for completion. President Muhammadu Buhari has intervened in a dispute between the Police Service Commission and the Nigeria Police Force over recruitment of 10,000 additional personnel. The chairman of the PSC, Musliu Smith, stated this on Tuesday soon after a meeting with the president. Smith, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, and members of the PSC met with President Buhari, where Smith presented the 2018 annual report of the commission to Buhari. Asked whether the dispute was discussed with Buhari, Smith confirmed that it was tabled before Mr. President. The Nigerian Army on Tuesday began a trial of the former general officer commanding 8th Division Sokoto State, Major General Hakeem Otiki, over the alleged diversion of the sum of 400 million naira by some soldiers in the division. The trial at the General Court Martial held at the Army Officers' Mess at Sokoto. The General Court Martial is presided over by the Army's Chief of Policy and Plans, Nigeria Army Headquarters, Major General Lamidi Adeosun. The Nigeria Army had, on July 21, begun the questioning of the former GOC over the missing 400 million naira that they said had been stolen by escort soldiers in the division. The former GOC had been interrogated by the Directorate of Military Intelligence for the Special Intelligence Bureau and the Nigeria Army Corps of Military Police. The outcome of the court proceedings is still being awaited. And members of the House of Representatives are angry with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, over his refusal to address them on the recent xenophobic attacks in Africa. The Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, made this known after a debate on the xenophobic attacks in South Africa. The Speaker vowed to forward the matter to the President, Muhammadu Buhari. At least 5 people have been killed in the attacks targeting foreigners of African descent. The Nigerian government, however, said no Nigerian was killed. The Speaker said he had been briefed by the Chairman of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, Baba Yusuf, on how the Minister repeatedly failed to honor the committee's investigation. He added that as one government, their primary function is to serve the interests of Nigerians. The Speaker had a week ago stated that the House would deal seriously with members of the executive who do not honor invitations to appear for public or investigative hearings. Obinwanne Okeke, the 31-year-old Nigerian being tried in the United States for online fraud, has been remanded in prison custody until February 2020 for continuation of his trial. Okeke's trial commenced on Monday at the Nigeria Federal Courthouse following an indictment by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI. The 31-year-old, who was featured on Forbes as one of Nigeria's promising young people, has been in the custody of the U.S. Marshals Service more than a month ago. The commencement of his trial on Monday, Okeke, famously known as in Nigeria as Invictus Obi, the Virginia Federal Courthouse judge declared the case as complex. The FBI accused him of orchestrating the theft of $11 million from a foreign subsidiary of American heavy equipment manufacturer Caterpillar. The INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in Kogi, James Apam, on Tuesday expressed worries over possible violence during the November 16 governorship elections in the state. He disclosed this at the unveiling of the Get Out the Vote, Voter Education and Stop Violence Against Women in Politics campaign and projects and multi-stakeholders meeting in Lokoja. The Electoral Commissioner said INEC had on several occasions prepared to conduct credible elections and always puts necessary machinery in place to ensure free, fair and acceptable elections, only for such elections to be disrupted by violence. The REC said that the Commission intends to correct the flaws identified in the past elections during the forthcoming election. He charged parents to help talk to their children and wards on the need to avoid violence, adding that with absence of violence, there would be a massive turnout during the election and the exercise will be hitch-free. The REC also urged the electorate to conduct themselves in an orderly manner before, during and after the elections to enhance smooth exercise. The Minister of Communications, Dr. Issa Patami, has given the Nigeria Communications Commission, NCC, a one-week deadline to block all unregistered SIM cards nationwide. Ibrahim Patani, while giving the directive in Abuja, says the deadline, which will expire on September the 25th, also includes incomplete SIM card registrations. He says the supervision of the NCC on issues relating to SIM card registration will help reduce the level of crime nationwide and confirms up to 74% success rate that has already been achieved.
Last week, we officially contacted the management of NCC to give us details, or rather the baseline performance of their briefing here. And I emphasize on the issue of pre-registered, unregistered, or incomplete registration of SIM. The statistic was really alarming and worrisome. What was sent to me last week was 9.2 million with improper registration. I was really flabbergasted and worried because investigation reveals that 99% of crime being committed in Nigeria, SIM card is involved. We also wrote another letter to the management and they replied today. Within this period of time, they were able to reduce the number significantly. Within this period, they were able to rectify at least 6,775,000 on incomplete registration, so the remaining 2.4 should be rectified by 25th September, contrary to the initial date I have already given. We urge the management to immediately inform the telecos. After 25th of September, when a crime is committed and SIM is being used, we only need the number of that SIM and convey it to the regulators. Within an hour, we want to get the details of the person who committed that crime.
It's time to take a quick break now. Stay tuned for more news when we return. Tunisia's Electoral Commission on Tuesday confirmed that law professor Kais Saied and detained media mogul Nabil Karoui had won the most votes in the first round of the country's presidential elections and will contest a runoff vote. The Commission's announcement following a full count of votes confirmed exit polls released on Sunday evening and partial results issued throughout Monday. Sunday's vote has been seen in Tunisia as a sharp rebuke of the established political forces that have dominated since 2011's revolution, failing to address economic troubles that include high unemployment and inflation. Kais Saied took 18.4% of the vote and Karoui 15.6% of the other 24 candidates, who included the Prime Minister, two former Prime Ministers, a former President and a Defence Minister. The moderate Islamist Ennahda candidate Abdel Fattah Mourou came third with 12.9%. At least 2 Egyptian soldiers were killed and 8 more injured in a series of attacks by a local Islamic State group, IS affiliate, on several Egyptian army targets in the city of Sheikh Zayed, northeastern of Sinai. Medical sources at the El Arish Military Hospital in Sinai confirmed that the bodies of the 2 soldiers arrived at the hospital today, in addition to 8 wounded soldiers following simultaneous attacks in Sheikh Zayed earlier on Tuesday. They said the officers were among the wounded who were undergoing operations and treatment. Eyewitnesses and sources from local tribes said the Sinai province, a name for the IS affiliate, had targeted an army vehicle with an IED near the village of Al-Shalak, west of Sheikh Zayed, injuring the soldiers on board. IS militants also engaged in an hour-long battle with soldiers at another position near Sheikh Zayed. French Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian said Monday that France will press to drop Sudan from the U.S. blacklist of state sponsors of terrorism and to support the efforts to reintegrate the country into international community. He said at a joint press conference with his Sudanese counterpart Asma Mohamed Abdallah after the two of them held talks. The minister was in Khartoum on a day visit, the first of such trip to Sudan by France's top diplomatic diplomats in more than a decade. His visit comes as the North East African country transitions to civilian rule after decades of authoritarianism. Decades of U.S. blacklisting along with a trade embargo imposed on Sudan in 1997 has kept overseas investors away from the country, in turn isolating it from the global economy. Sudan's worsening economic situation was the key trigger for nationwide protests that finally led to an ouster of the longtime ruler Omar al-Bashir in April. Up next is our business news. The U.S. has reportedly identified locations in Iran for which drones and cruise missiles were launched against major Saudi oil facilities on Saturday. A senior U.S. official told CBS News that the locations were in southern Iran at the northern end of the Gulf. Saudi air defenses did not stop the drones and missiles because they were pointed southwards to prevent attacks from Yemen. Iran denies involvement in the attacks, which disrupted global oil supplies. Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthi rebels said they had launched the drones that struck the Abqaiq oil processing plant in the world's largest and the Quraiz oil field. They have attacked Saudi oil facilities before, but U.S. officials said on Sunday they believe the drones and missiles did not originate from the south or southwest and instead were launched from the north or northwest. The European Parliament on Tuesday approved outgoing IMF chief Christine Lagarde as the next boss of the European Central Bank, which last week announced massive stimulus for the sluggish Eurozone despite divisions among its governors. She was absent for the vote but won backing from 394 MEPs, with 206 voting against and 49 abstaining in a secret ballot. The Parliament's green light is just a recommendation. The final decision on her appointment is up to the EU leaders in a mid-October summit. She is expected to easily clinch the confirmation as the leaders put her forward for the ECB post back in July. Christine Lagarde is a former French economy minister and head of the International Monetary Fund. Up next is our business news. The National Bureau of Statistics on Tuesday said that the Consumer Price Index, which measures inflation, dropped from 11.08% in July to 11.02% in August. The Bureau said in a report that inflation rate of 11.02% for August represents a decrease of 0.006% point year on year. The NBS said that the drop in inflation rate continued in August despite several pronouncements regarding restrictions on the imports of some food items, minimum wage and the recent border closures. With respect to the impact of border closure on consumer prices, the Bureau stated that the country may not see a significant effect on inflation now, as the closure was only captured for 11 days during the 31st or the 31 days reference period in August. And moving on, American billionaire and philanthropist Bill Gates has said that Nigeria has one of the lowest domestic revenues at just 6% of GDP compared to 15% in some other countries. This, he said, is perhaps one of the reasons why the largest black nation has a problem with providing basic health infrastructure. Gates said this via a teleconference with journalists ahead of the release of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's Goalkeepers Report 2019. Responding to a question on how Nigeria could address some of its challenges, he said one challenge that Nigeria has is the amount of money that government raises domestically. It is quite small compared to other countries. According to Bill Gates, a lot of countries at that level will be raising closer to 15% of GDP, and Nigeria is one of the lowest in the world, down at about 6%. The Microsoft co-founder said the government also needs to do more to gain confidence of the people because the citizens could be discouraged from paying taxes if they see that taxes are not being properly utilized. And still ahead on Plus TV Africa News is our roundup on entertainment and sports news. Will be back in a moment. In entertainment, author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie on her 42nd birthday received the Kassel Citizens Prism of Reason Award for her vision of humanistic diversity in Germany. She took to her Instagram page to share some pictures from the event, which she was grateful to have turned 42 and grateful to have received the Prism of Reason Award from the citizens of Kassel, Germany. The Board of Directors and the Board of Trustees of the Society of Friends and sponsors of the Kassel Citizens Prize selected Nigerian writer Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie as the 2019 winner of the Prism of Reason, which makes her the first Nigerian to receive this remarkable prize. The Prism of Reason Award was founded in 1990 by citizens of the city of Kassel. And the very best in sports is coming up right after this.
Open accounts. The Get a Lot in Millions promo is back again, and this time it's bigger, better, and life-changing. Save your way to millions faster than you think. Open any Fidelity account with 20,000 naira, or top up your existing account with 10,000 naira, and stand a chance to win a whopping 1 million or 2 million in our monthly draw. That's not even all. Listen, there's more. Guess what? Open an account with 50,000 naira, or top up an existing savings account with 50,000 naira, and you could win 3 million naira. Fidelity Bank definitely did not come to play at all. Maintain an average balance of 200,000 naira, and you could win the grand prize of 10 million naira. I'm now a millionaire. I love Fidelity. You too can save your way to millions. Hurry to any Fidelity Bank and start saving today, or simply scan the QR code on all promotional items to open an account and participate. Many consolation prizes and weekly cash prizes up for grabs.
We are Fidelity. We keep our word.
And in sports, the Champions League kicked off in different centres across Europe. In the early kickoffs, Inter Milan were held to a 1-1 draw by Slavia Prague. Lyon were also held to a 1-1 draw by Zenit St. Petersburg. And that's our news roundup of events at this hour. For more news updates, please follow us at Plus TV Africa on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We'll be back later with more stories making the headlines. Do join us then, and do have a great day.
Hello and welcome to One-on-One on Plus TV Africa. I am Elsie Godwin. On this episode, we are one-on-one with a healthcare management consultant, the project director of Go Pink Nigeria, founder of Wish for Africa Foundation, and the founder and medical director at Optimal Cancer Foundation, Dr. Femi Olaleye. Thank you for your time, Dr. Olaleye.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. So what led to you being a physician? Was this the plan from the get-go?
Well, the best way to answer that, yes, must be, because I'm living it. But as far back as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a doctor, such that, you know, even my mom was nicknamed Mama Doctor many years before I graduated.
Before you
as a
became
doctor.
one.
Yeah. But the touching reason and the most inspiring reason I think I could find would be the fact that as a young boy growing up in Lagos, I could see around me evidence of violence. And at times when people have accidents, domestic accidents or stuff like that, I'm always moved to want to do something. And to a point where when animals around me are injured, I'm always trying to fix them and stuff like that. And then I took a natural liking to science courses when we were in secondary school, to the point that I went to a local school that didn't have opportunity for me to do sciences. And my dad more or less had to equip the laboratory so I could do science studies there. And I incidentally passed out as one of the best students of that school and became a doctor from there. So I've always wanted to be a doctor.
Okay, good to know it's been a passion from day one. Yeah. All right, you spent a decade of service in British National Healthcare System before returning home. Now, what prompted the decision to return home, and what has your experience been?
When I've been asked this question, what prompted? I never actually left for England with the mindset of not coming back. So, so I've always believed that I was coming back. I graduated in Nigeria as a doctor. I went to one of the best universities in the world, Obafemi Awolowo University. We call it Great Ife. And so my mindset from day one was I will always practice in Nigeria. However, I recognized I needed to broaden my views, broaden my perspective, and I particularly wanted to be a different kind of doctor. So I needed to go abroad to go do some postgraduate qualifications in obstetrics and gynecology, and I had the opportunity to do that in the British NHS in England. So, like most people who checked out then, the usual thing is, oh, you forget about that. You look for ways to make your life comfortable and you enjoy your life. But I felt there was a need for me to come back. Nigeria trained me as a doctor primarily, free of charge. And I'm a Nigerian, so when I'm walking the corridors of the NHS hospital and I'm seeing white patients, Caucasian patients, the first thing they will see is my color. You know, no matter whether I've changed my name to Frank or I carry a different passport, you know, now a red passport instead of a green passport. It's Nigeria that's in me. It's Nigerian values that brought me up to that point. So I've always wanted to connect back to Nigeria. And I thought that the most important reason is my skill sets are needed here. And the skill set I'm talking about is not just a doctor. It's somebody like me who can understand the issues of healthcare delivery and find solutions to them. Finding those solutions is not what you're taught in medical school. I've gone to acquire those extra qualifications from a business management school. So I went to Imperial College while I was in London, knowing that I'm going to come back to Nigeria to solve problems. So I need to be extra equipped with skill sets that will allow me to deal with those problems. And I'm very grateful to God that I'm here now doing exactly what I believed I should be doing. So those three reasons probably informed my desire to come back and go through the challenges.
So what has the experience been, talking about the challenges?
The challenges are there for everybody to see. We're a developing country. A developing country meaning that we don't have the infrastructure that we need to succeed. And that's how we have been described, developing. So we're developing to what? It's always a joke from a developmental mindset. What are you developing into? How long is your target of development? Because we're a developing country, the infrastructural challenges are there. So I won't waste our time talking about infrastructural challenges. The biggest challenge we've had is that of ignorance. How people are ignorant about so many things, such that even the educated ones, we've all become so immune to the abnormalities around us. One, because of we don't know better, so we're blissfully ignoring things, which has its own multiplier effect. For example, if you know something, you have knowledge about something, then you can take action and causes of action, or series of actions to prevent that thing from happening. So because of ignorance, then you don't have the multiplier effect of poverty. So if people you're delivering care for as a doctor are ignorant of what you are about to do for them to help them, then they are poor. They can't afford your services. And the third and the most important reason is because of that ignorance and the poverty of mindset, the crop of leaders we get are from the same pool of people that are ignorant and poor. So you have ignorant and poor, and that poor is not their pocket. Poverty of mind in leadership. So when I'm talking to in quotes, for example, a member of the House of Representatives or a senator or a governor about health solutions, is lost. because he has come from a crop of people or a group of politicians, and not all of them are all that terrible, that are ignorant. The only thing they've spent their time, their adult life doing is how to get to political office. So they've been parochial in their mindset. So people who win elections in Nigeria are very good at winning elections, but are very poor at solving Nigeria's problems. So those are the challenges.
Let's take it away from the ignorant ones and all that. You have lived outside and practiced your field outside the country. It's easy for us to sit down and say we want to be like the UK, the US, or Canada and the likes, right? But you have lived it and you're back here and you've also experienced what is going on here. How would you say we can, what's the major difference first, and how would you say we can bridge this gap?
If I've identified challenges, so to bridge the gap would be to solve those challenges. Our people need to be educated. Our people need to be risen out of poverty. Our people need to have opportunities to become what they've been destined to become. And there's no two-way. That's the responsibility of government.
Okay.
Government is not going to give me oxygen. Government is not going to put food really on my table, but it needs to create the environment for me to be able to live a healthy life and create wealth and pass on that wealth to my people. So how have I dealt with those challenges? It's probably my own way of answering that question, because I can see clearly that the answer to that question is not something I can prefer.
All right, before you give us the answer to that question, let's go on a quick break. But when we come back, we'll carry on this conversation with Dr. Olaleye. We'll be right back. Welcome to Tea Time on Plus TV Africa, where we bring you the biggest entertainment stories and, of course, analyze them for you.
You can have both parents and still end up as a useless child. I see them every day.
Most times I worry more about where I'm coming from and where I am now, and that determines my next step.
Why are you sounding like
Alibaba
now?
Plus TV Africa, we're feeling good. No time to dull, everybody feeling alright.
Still make music and people are still buying. Sometimes I look myself minimal IU.
Akpala music is for mature minded people. I got DMs sometimes from Malawi like
sleeping early. Welcome back. So Dr. Olaleye, before we went on that break, you were going to tell us the way you have been able to solve the problem from your own little corner, right? So. Okay, so before I left England, I was quite strategic in what I was coming to do. A lot of us diaspora returnees should do this, really. Nigeria's problems are multi-layered, multi-segmented, and multivarious, as in basically if you divide into many segments, so multivariant is the word that you actually use there, and therefore you could get lost in trying to find your way through those problems. So what I did was to look for a particular healthcare challenge that we have in our country, that I, through my experience in the UK, had seen their solutions had improved the outcomes. So let me put it this way. So working in the NHS, a young woman like you will get a letter from a GP, a general practitioner, inviting her for a regular pap smear that happens every 2 to 3, 4, 5 years. So depending on the issues the woman gets and her age, she gets a letter from a GP, and that happens every, let's say, 3 years, every 3 years. You get your letter, you open it. Oh, my doctor has just invited me for a pap smear. Okay. You call the doctor's office and say, I'm so, I'm coming for my pap smear test. And the receptionist on the day, and okay, that's good. Come on Monday, 10 a.m. You go in to do your pap smear at 10 a.m. Monday, you go home, forgetting about it.
This nurse that's taking that smear will send it to a laboratory. They will look into that smear and they will confirm that something is going on in that woman's cervix. So she needs attention urgently. So they will send her a letter and say, your pap smear report is back. You need to go to hospital and get somebody to look at it. Remember, this woman didn't have any symptom. Somebody thought about her because her name is already on a database attached to a phone number, an address, and her age. So this woman will come into hospital. She will see a doctor like me. I used to work in the general hospital sort of level at Kent back then. And I would say, oh, your GP sent us a letter and a report about your pap smear. Could you please let me examine you and confirm?
So there is a database and there is a process?
Yes.
Okay.
So I will therefore identify the problem for that woman and stop her from dying from a disease. Now, if you've been listening to this process we're describing, that disease is called cervical cancer. And to put this into perspective, you're a woman listening to this show, just ask yourself, has anybody written you a letter inviting you to come for a test that will prevent cervical cancer? The answer is probably no.
Okay, let's try to break down pap smear, what it is, because I mean, I've seen it over and over again and I understand what it is, but there are people who don't understand it and they feel it's another big grammar, even though the letters and the words are not so much, but it's alien, right? So if you're going to break down cervical cancer and then the test called pap smear, how would you break it down to a layman?
I will certainly do that.
Okay.
And that's why I'm building a scenario for somebody at home to feel connected to that process. So if a man watching can connect his wife to it, if it's him or the women around him, as a woman, just follow through this.
Okay.
So this pap smear test actually stands for Paponicolos test, not pap that we hit. So it's pap is shortened of a Greek doctor's name who discovered that test. And it's to prevent cervical cancer as a way, which is a public health challenge all over the world. Because cervical cancer is caused by a virus that has been traced to sexual exposure. So a virgin, for example, can never have cervical cancer. The name of that virus is HPV, human papilloma virus.
So how does it form?
Human papilloma virus is picked up from adolescent, from childhood, through sexual encounters young boys have to when they become young men.
So it's from the male folks?
So men pick it up like that, and then they pass it on to women during sexual, and then women share it through many sexual experiences they share. And of course, men too, being greatly sexually active they will take one HPV from one woman, infect other women along the sexual chain. So it's the commonest sexually transmitted virus. 80% of women will be infected in their lifetime. So if you have 10 women listening to this show right now, 8 of you are already infected. Sorry.
Already or will be?
Already. 50% of women are.
So you're saying this is a virus that can be very silent without you knowing it is there?
It's asymptomatic.
So how long does it take to start showing?
I will get there. It won't even show.
Okay.
A woman will not have symptoms, which is why, therefore, when Papanicolo discovered that years prior to when a woman will be given a diagnosis, if you can regularly smear her cervix will be waving a little red flag for the doctors to pick it up, which therefore is the reason why you do pap smear. And because women form the bedrock of any decent society, women are the future that you must protect. Other countries recognize the importance of this test, so they invest. In the UK, there are 4 countries that make up the United Kingdom: England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. They dedicate £1 billion, not million, £billion sterling for these 4 countries each. So making a total budget for the United Kingdom cancer screening service, $4 billion annually. And that's how they spend that money. Making sure a woman like you, if you're a UK citizen, gets a letter to prevent you from dying from a disease that eventually could catch up with you 10, 15 years down the line. So that answers the question. How long does it take between when a woman becomes sexually active to when she could have cervical cancer? It's 10 to 15 years. And therefore, coming back to our developing country, we would never get around to sending letters to women. Doctors don't even offer this test routinely. Women don't know. They are blissfully ignorant about a virus that somebody who came to them saying, I love you, had passed on to them, and remaining in their body and their system that can cause cancer. Therefore, I needed to look at that challenge and said, how can I solve this problem? Using science, using management, and of course, using the extra gift that the Lord had imbued me with. And how did I overcome that? The first thing I tried to do was to raise awareness. People need to know. And thankfully, on a day like this, on one-on-one program with you, being my lovely host, and on Plus TV, we are reaching some women, because this is something some people are hearing for the first time.
So, for example, you're tested and it's positive. What is the treatment process like?
Of course, it can be prevented. Without me going too clinical, if you identify an abnormality on a woman's cervix, and of course, the stage of the disease itself, and of course, also financial consideration. So, and that brings me to, before maybe we go away on another break, the financial implication of this to the individual woman.
Okay, before you go on the financial implication, let's go on a quick break, but we'll come back to this conversation. Welcome back. So before we went on that very quick break, you were talking about the challenges as regards funding. So what is the situation right now? Because regardless of whatever we say, to build the kind of structure and the healthcare system we want, it requires funding. So
Absolutely.
How are you managing that for your own solution?
Yes, the solution we designed for reaching the average Nigerian woman out there to know about the need to do cervical cancer screening.
As awareness.
So there's funding needed for that. Then the woman to come physically to a location to get screened, we need to physically put those centers close to those women. So we'll talk about the financial, how we solve those financial challenges. And more importantly, when a woman is told, Madam, there's something wrong with you, you need XYZ number of naira, or thousands of naira to fix the problem. 65% of Nigerians live out of pocket, below the poverty line, and the out of pocket expenditure for their health is totally not available for them. So therefore, you have that problem, because you've told this woman now she has a problem she needs to solve, she can't afford to solve it. So solving that problem meant understanding the sort of terrain in Nigeria before I came to Nigeria. So I came up with a solution, basically to set up two separate organizations. One, Optimal Cancer Care Foundation, and one, Optimal Healthcare Limited. It's a for-profit organization run as a limited liability company. And Optimal Cancer Care Foundation set up as an NGO that receives donation and, of course, delivers humanitarian services. So services that cannot be paid for by patients will be paid for by the organization, by the foundation, and the foundation can get money or donations for that. And that's how we solve the problem of printing colorful leaflets, you know, finding time to organize awareness messages, awareness walks, getting partners and sponsors to support that Go Pink. Go Pink was an example of that platform that was created in October for women to wear pink, identify with pink being the color of breast cancer awareness, and getting people to fund it. So that's that. Being able to run two organizations at the same time also meant you have to understand the peculiarities, the pros and cons, and of course, how to leverage the advantage of one over the other. So the for-profit organization, therefore, allows us to be able to convince investors when the time comes to say, how can we be part of what you're doing? We don't want to be doing charity. We want returns on our money. So the for-profit organization can allow us to approach such investors and say, for your 10 million naira, we can put a center in Oshodi, bringing the service closer to women. And the women who come to Oshodi can rely on the Optimal Cancer Foundation to create access for them to come for screening, because the foundation offers free screening every Friday for women.
So for investing in the healthcare sector, how lucrative can this investment be?
It is any investment in Nigeria. a population of 200 plus million is bound to be profitable. I've always said it to anybody who wants to listen. That's why everybody is doing whatever can make them money, because the population size is huge. So it's profitable. If anybody's out there wants to invest 10 million, I can tell you, you get better than putting that money in a fixed deposit account.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Multiples of it. And that's part of the problem. Investors are ignorant that if they put their 10 million, they can get actually 4 million on top of it, which is 40% at the end of that year.
I mean, you've mentioned ignorance a lot, because I know before we went on the break, you talked about ignorance being one of our major problems. So it's looking like it's cutting across board from the people you think are educated and the ones that are uneducated. So how do we solve this ignorance problem?
Okay, we're solving it.
Okay.
Keep raising awareness, using all the platforms available. I use social media a lot because traditional promotional methods are very expensive, and we thank God for an opportunity like this to be on Plus TV. Again, we are reaching people, so I use social media a lot. My foundation has a social media page through Optimal Cancer Foundation. I am Dr. Femi, so people reach me a lot through that platform. And of course, we're in the sight and sound generation. Everybody's got a mobile device, and they're pressing and pinging and doing stuff, so they can get the opportunity to get the information. So that's one. But the service we offer that we push a lot is the free cancer screening. Every woman gets the opportunity to get their breast and their cervix examined.
For free?
For free.
How often do you
Every
run
2
this?
to 3 years. So that's how we solve the problem of having to write a letter for women waiting to get a letter from their GP and know where to go. But the problem there is that we have only one center. If we have only one center, we can only see a certain number of women a day. But if you have multiple centers, so we can see many women across those centers. And our vision and our plan is to put a center in every division of Lagos. Lagos has 5 divisions, as you know. Lagos Island, Lagos Mainland, Ikorodu, Ekpe, and Badagry. So we are in Lagos Mainland, we are in Ikorodu now. We want to come to Lagos Island, we want to go to Badagry, and we want to go to Ekpe. And these 5 divisions will form the hubs for which other branches can go. Because everywhere you go, there's a woman.
So in doing all this, have you been able to partner with any side of the government, from the local to the states and even the federal?
It's difficult to partner with government in a project like this.
Okay, why?
Because one, government has to be able to fund it. And if it's not being put in what I call appropriated in their budget, government cannot release the funding for it. And government can fund it in many ways, and not to just partner. They can actually do this in their own local government health centers. So the partnership I'm looking for is for them to say, come and train staff and come and support the provision of resources. As you know, medical training is not just what you've learned in school. You know, continuous education programs, CMEs, can be delivered around these programs. And of course, government can draw a policy around this. Because if there's no policy, then there can be funding. And if there's no policy, no funding, the people won't get the services. So it's difficult to partner with government, but really my focus is to partner with other non-governmental organizations, corporate organizations who want to fulfill their corporate social responsibilities. They can start with making sure members of their staff get screened. And that is what we've been doing. We've been partnering with great big organizations. They've been very good at saying, you know what, we like what you're doing, come start with us. Screen all our members of staff. They pay for their members of staff. They don't get free. And then, of course, they would surely support what we're doing for the women who can't afford to come. In other cases, when we now find women who can't afford their treatment, we use our NGO platform to reach out. Just last week, a young girl came with, 11-year-old girl came with a breast lump that she could obviously afford to pay for, because our aunt who looked after her mom died, quite not as financially buoyant to take care of it. And then we just reached out on our social media, and we got about 7 people who donated, sums from 10,000, 5,000. Before that weekend ran out, we were able to raise just about half the money needed. And of course, I happen to be the surgeon to do the operation. I used my position as a surgeon to clear the bill, and the girl was admitted, and we removed the lump. She's home safely. So how do we transfer that into a bigger scale? That's just a classic example of that girl benefiting from a structure. But how do we do that on a bigger scale? The woman in Abeokuta, the other woman in Ado-Ekiti, the woman in Ughelli in somewhere in the east, and that man that has a daughter with a breast lump in Katsina. How do you reach those people? Government is the best opportunity. Government has the best opportunity to do this for our people, and I will keep saying that is the way for us to go, to get our women out of this scourge of cancer.
All right, so very quickly before I let you go, how would you describe the attitude of Nigerians towards maintaining their own health, very quickly?
Yes, it's still shocking and appalling. People have offered and transferred their responsibility of their health to their spiritual beliefs. So if you're a churchgoer and you just go, it's not my portion, you think that's enough, and that's not, sadly, enough.
Okay.
You believe that by praying, which is good, tithing and paying your tithes and paying your offerings is enough? No. Even the Bible says we should watch and pray. That means watch yourself, watch around you, and we're not doing enough. And that's the major reason. We over spiritualize everything. I think we should be paying more attention to our health. If you believe God, even is desire above all things to be prosper and be in good health, even as our soul prosper. That's what the good book says. And I always use that opportunity to tell people, then, therefore, as you are working to prosper, work on your health as well.
All right, so let's pay attention to our health.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Dr. Olaleye, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
I've been chatting with a solution-minded and vision-driven change agent, Dr. Olaleye. He's the medical director at Optimal Cancer Foundation. My name is Elsie Godwin. Thank you for watching.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
All right, country people, greet on top this very o'clock. One at join us for news on the hour for Plus TV Africa. This is not the true episode one summer given now. My name, na promise, Nero. They say South African government on Monday don't do former beg give Niger people and the Niger government for the xenophobic begay for foreign nationals when I'm saying Niger people they join for their country. Oga President Cyril Ramaphosa, special envoy to Niger Jeff Radebe, he threw away their beg yarns as he met with Oga President Muhammadu Buhari for the presidential villa Abuja on Monday. As they yarn with the State House talk person after the closed-door meeting with the Niger leader, Radebe is say President Ramaphosa he don't already direct the law enforcement agencies to grab all those people when they say they put body for the begay. Radebe when they say be South Africa Minister of Energy, he say over 50 suspects and the dog bab so far in connection with the xenophobic palaver when we say it happened for some part of South Africa. They say the Nigerian Diaspora Commission don't tell the federal government say they not go abandon Niger people when say they just show from South Africa. The chairperson of the commission, Abike Dabiri-Erewa, he said the federal government they do every to make sure say those when say they lost properties for the Begay get compensation from the South African government. She said the federal government already put plans for the place to make sure say the returnees will continue their business them for Nigeria.
Expect
the state governors to take responsibility for their citizens that have returned. Now, I'm going to stress one thing. Those who returned are not criminals. In fact, they are very hardworking Nigerians. Very hardworking, and they've lost everything they ever worked for in South Africa. So their only crime is being black and being Nigerian. So let's stress that none of them they are very hardworking Nigerians. I mean, we had fathers separated from their children. We had a mother, there's a widow with 4 children who just had to come back home. And for that widow with 4 children, I can't tell you, but there are already offers for scholarship for her children. Now, when they returned, everybody got a SIM card and airtime that will last about 2 months, and some money for transportation. And Bank of Industry, as I speak with you now, has their contact, so they'll be calling them to come for the Bank of Industry soft loans, so that those are the immediate plans for them. Then as they settle in, we're going to profile them and do a needs assessment, because somebody might want to trade and you want to say go and do hairdressing. So it's better to do a needs assessment. We'll be appealing to the various state governors to ensure proper reintegration and welcome for these returnees from South Africa. As the next batch comes in, we'll also profile them and do the same thing. And Bank of Industry is waiting for all of them to come and take up the assistance the bank is offering.
They say as they try to cool the tension of the recent xenophobic brigade for Nigeria when we say that they South Africa, one top official of the South African government don't throw away some yans for African leaders when we say their citizens waka go South Africa go hustle. Nigeria make up a large number of African migrants from South Africa, and they be the most hit by the recent xenophobic brigade. Blade Nzimande, the South African Minister of Higher Education, Science and Technology, he talked on Monday for Durban, say South Africa no fit absorb the result of all the problem when the leaders, when say they want to loot their countries, and when we say they don't take care of their people, they put for ground. So Western Life, when we say the one South African news website reporter, the report says Monday Jans and other local media for South Africa join with the report too, as they tendered the one apology to people and government of Nigeria by President Cyril Ramaphosa, special envoy to Nigeria through Jeff Radebe. They say Oga President Muhammadu Buhari on Monday, he replaced the Economic Management Team, EMT, when the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo be Oga with one Economic Advisory Council, EAC. The new EAC, when we say that they report directly to President, go get Oga, and when we say be economist, Professor Doyin Salami. Buhari's special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, he said the EAC go sama battalions give the president on economic policy matter, when fiscal analysis, economic growth, and one range of internal and global economic matter join to work with the relevant cabinet members and heads of monetary and fiscal agencies. He said the council, when they expect to sama assist give the president for the development of critical policies, go do monthly sessions. Other members of the council, now Dr. Mohammed Sagagi, Vice Chairman, Professor Ode Ojowu, member, Dr. Shehu Yahaya, member, Dr. Iyabo Masha, member, Professor Shukuma Soludo, member, Bismarck Rewane, member, and Dr. Mohammed Adaya Salisu, secretary. Let's say the Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed on Tuesday talked saying that outside people, they do the brigade between the herdsmen and the farmers for Nigeria. Mohammed talks say for most cases, now those people outside Nigeria, they cause harm. He say not be the Fulani man within Nigeria, they do the brigade. He still say the revenge culture of the Fulani attract revenge because of the wahala between the farmers and the herdsmen. As he still a yarn for the proposed federal government Ruga settlement program, the Bauchi State Governor say the scheme, they focus to touchlight the matter. Governor still say make them do sanitization of the public for one language so that they fit understand the purpose of the initiative. They say the Minister of Communications, Dr. Issa Patame, he don't give Nigeria Communications Commission, NCC, 1 week deadline to block all unregistered SIM card nationwide. Dr. Ibrahim Patami, as they throw away the yarns for Abuja, he say with the deadline when we say go expire on September the 25th, see join the complete SIM card registrations. He said the supervision of the NCC for matter when we say concern SIM card registration will help to reduce the level of crime nationwide and confirm up to 74% success rate when we say they'd already achieved.
Last week, we officially contacted the management of NCC to give us details, or rather the baseline performance of their briefing here, and I emphasize on the issue of pre-registered, unregistered, or incomplete registration of SIM. The statistic was really alarming and worrisome. What was sent to me last week was 9.2 million with improper registration. I was really flabbergasted and worried because investigation reveals that 99% of crime being committed in Nigeria, SIM card is involved. We also wrote another letter to the management and they replied today. Within this period of time, they were able to reduce the number significantly. Within this period, they were able to rectify at least 6,775,000 on incomplete registration, so the remaining 2.4 should be rectified by 25th September, contrary to the initial date I have already given. We urge the management to immediately inform the telecos. After 25th of September, when a crime is committed and SIM is being used, we only need the number of that SIM and convey it to the regulators. Within an hour, we want to get the details of the person who committed that crime.
They say Ms. Maria Espinosa, the president of the 73rd UN General Assembly on Monday, hand over to Niger Muhammad Bande, OMBC will lead the 74th session of the Assembly for the next 1 year. The group happened inside the General Assembly Hall of the UN headquarters inside New York as they mark the end of the 73rd session. The 74th session will start formally on Tuesday with the inauguration of Muhammad Bande, OMBC will be the permanent representative of Niger to the UN. For the short address, Guterres hailed Espinosa for her strong leadership. He said she is a champion for multilateralism, OMBC make the UN relevant to all. They said the Christian Aid Niger don't open their new 7-year strategy from 2019 to 2025. The humanitarian agent body say their new strategy not to meet humanitarian needs of Niger people across the country, and they're not going to look tribe, ethnicity, and religion. The country director of the Christian Aid, Charles Usier, he said the joint body when they see themselves as Niger first aid responder for the Northeast, they look for their resources to support the federal government to meet the need of millions of Niger people when they say they not get where to stay and waiting to eat when they got displaced because of Bege around the country.
The Nigeria of our dream, the Nigeria we have envisioned in 7 years, it's impossible for only Christian Aid to achieve it. And that's why today we are going public with it. And by going public, we mean that we are letting it out in the open to say this is our intention. This is what we want to do. We've come a long way in Nigeria, operating since 2003. We started out with a vision called Transforming Hope into Action. That vision led us into another vision which we call Partnership for Change. Today, we are launching a new strategy, building up on the 2 different strategies we've actually lived in Nigeria, building on those 2 different strategies over the last few years. Today, we're launching a strategy called Standing Together, and this means a lot.
When we stand together, we walk together, we live together, and we die together. We need to die together in Nigeria to make Nigeria a better place. And when we walk together and stand together, we stand together to fight injustice. We stand together to promote the dignity of human person. We stand together to promote equity. We stand together to love together.
If you think that poverty cannot be eradicated, all your programming, your thoughts and behavior will be towards that line. But if you believe that poverty can be eradicated, then you will do everything that is necessary to eradicate poverty. We know that we are living at a time where we have the greatest amount of resources ever known in world history. The resources in the world today, if used judiciously, can eradicate poverty. But we have poverty because the wealth is concentrated in the hands of a few people.
The population of Nigeria is almost 200 million. 90 million, over 90 million are living in extreme poverty. 46% of all Nigerians are living in extreme poverty. Over 46% in a country that, for those of us like me who come from Zambia, we've always considered Nigeria to be the giant economy of Africa. Right? We know the wealth that exists in this country. And yet I want to ask you the question, where is your outrage? Where is your outrage when your brothers and sisters are living in abject poverty? Where is your outrage when young girls are being given in early marriage when they're supposed to be at school enjoying their lives as young people growing up? Where is your outrage when there's female genital mutilation? Where is your outrage when women are being battered in their homes? Where is your outrage when there are no women at the decision-making space? Where is your outrage when you look at your brothers and sisters in Maiduguri and they are suffering without shelter, without access to land, without resources?
All right, now time to take one sharp break. When we show back, we'll summon another story then. We'll not go anywhere.
My name is Chidebere Chuko. I'm here for my mom, receiving an award for my mom. She won Salary for Life, 100,000 naira every month for 20 years. She's been a housewife, taking care of us. Can I say that we have 10 children, and she's been the one that's taking care of us from the first to the last. And now that she needs to rest, I think this is just beautiful to just come at this time. Beyond words, and I'm just happy that she has 100,000 to herself every month, even though I have to send some little stuff, and none of us have to send something, but sure banker, she knows that 100K is in her account cool enough. Thank you, Access Bank. And to everybody, please save money. Save money, save in Diamond Extra account so that you can have a chance to win Salary for Life.
Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
Really disastrous for a president
to even say
be unaware of the chief
it's
justice.
a ploy.
It could be a strategy.
That strategy was
It's a
very
backfire.
terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
They say the death toll of multi-tier men when they say they kill for one rival group fight for the Central African Republic for the weekend will go up to 38. According to one internal United Nations report when they say AFPC on Monday, and they put that one. They said the UN mission for Central Africa, MINUSCA, may say people when say they die at 23. The two armed groups don't sign one peace deal for February. Brigade between militaries for recent months don't raise concern about whether the peace accord now to end plenty years of brigade for car when we say he go hold. The country president Faustin Archange Touadera This month, the AFP say the agreement they very strong. But MINUSCA on Saturday say fight don't show for the barrel when one city when we say they close to Sudanese border. Let's say the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court appeal on Monday against the chalk acquittal of before Ivory Coast leader Laurent Gbagbo for the post-electoral gbege when we say kill around 3,000 people. Gbagbo when we say be the first head of state to stand trial for the Hague, and in deputy Charles Blegued, now they clear from crimes against humanity for January, and the court released them the other month. Prosecutor Fatou Bensouda, the office say appeal will demonstrate say the trial chamber commit legal and procedural errors when we say lead to the acquittals of Gbagbo and Blegued for all the count. Bensouda say he don't clear their two and they not apply any better standard of proof. All right, the next one, now our foreign news. One health official say one explosion near one election rally when they say the Afghan president Ashraf Ghani go 9 killed 24 people and injured 31 others, but Ghani no wound according to one aide. Ghani be done ready to address the rally for Garkrika, capital of the Parwan province, north of Kabul, where they say the suspected militant caused Kazala. Women and children there among them, and most of the victims are civilians. Abdul Qasim Sangin, where they say be the head of the provincial hospital ambulance, he said they still they operate, and the number of people when they say they die fit go up. One local government official say a suicide bomber do the attack. According to state television, they say Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, he talk on Tuesday say Iran no go ever hold one-on-one talk with the United States, but if it do multilateral alliance if they return to the 2015 deal of Iran nuclear program. U.S. President Donald Trump does say if he meet Iranian President Hassan Rouhani, possibly for the UN General Assembly for New York later this month. Trump does step up sanctions against Iran since last year, when we say it take withdraw from the nuclear pact between Iran and 6 world powers and reimpose sanctions when we say they lift under the deal in return for Iran when we say that they damage their nuclear program. All right, the next one, now our business news. They say the National Pension Commission, PENCOM, on Monday say they don't recover 16 billion naira when we say they don't remitted for pension contribution from plenty employers of labor for the last 7 years. The commission still say pension assets don't go up to 9.33 trillion naira at the end of June 2019, as total of 8.72 contributors don't be registered with the commission across the country. The acting director general, Aisha Dahar Omar, he for one-day workshop inside Port Harcourt, Rivers State, say the pension asset be day 7.44 trillion for January 2019 and come up to over 9 trillion naira within 5 months. She put the increase to the support from the organized private sector, OPS, and labor. The commission will develop one robust application to make the contribution of registration system make sense for pension industry. They don't deploy the application and pension practitioners, they use them for new registration and recapture of data for contributors when they get retirement savings accounts. American billionaire and philanthropist Bill Gates, he don't say Nigeria get one of the lowest domestic revenues for just 6% of GDP compared to 50% for some other countries. He said this one and one of the reasons why he said the largest black nation get problem to give basic health infrastructure. Gates talked this one from one teleconference with journalists ahead of the release of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Goalkeepers Report 2019. As they shook mouth for the question on how Nigeria for take touchlight some of the challenges, he said one challenge when we say Nigeria get, now be say the amount of money when we say the government they raise domestically they small compared to other countries. According to Bill Gates, a lot of countries for that level could they raise closer to 15% of GDP, and Nigeria now one of the lowest for the world down at about 6%. The Microsoft co-founder, he said the government still need to do more to gain the confidence of the people because the citizens feel they discouraged from paying taxes if they say they not they use the taxes well. Still ahead for Plus TV Africa News that will round up for entertainment and sports with the show back. Michael Jackson Estate slammed the Television Academy, say they honor the controversial Living Neverland documentary for the Primetime Creative Arts Emmy Award over the weekend, September 14 to 15, 2019. According to one statement by the Talk person, they say voters for their decision are for one film, when they say complete fiction, when they say they want a honor for the non-fiction Emmy category, now complete fast. They say they do the so-called documentary for secret and not before one person outside of the two subjects, and they constantly interview their families. Earlier this year, Wade Robson and James Safechuk, two men when we say they take under the singer Winger's children, talk say he abused them for the explosive HBO fame. All right, that one of entertainment. The next one, not for sports. Let's say before Cameroonian international Patrick Mboma, he don't send the application say he want to be the manager of Indomitable Lions. The position they opened 2 months when he said up pass after they pursue Clarence Seedorf and the assistant Patrick Kluivert because of poor display for the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations. The Football Federation for Cameroon don't hear and say what did they get for mine? Not to hire any indigenous coach, but they say they don't get some foreign service. The 48-year-old Mboma, he now they work as consultant and commentator, and he get few coaching certificate, according to Ram. And him na technical staff member of Paris SCU under 19 team. Cameroon will host the Africa Cup of Nations for 2021. They say Paris Saint-Germain, a forward Neymar, when we say UEFA be charged, say insult one match officials after PSG's Champions League exit for home to Manchester United. On 6 March, say he don't get 3-game European ban called to 2 by the Court of Arbitration for Sport. The 27-year-old, they called the award of one decisive 94-minute United penalty for the last 16-second leg tie, saying a disgrace. He go miss the game against Real Madrid and Galatasaray, but if he show back to face Club Brugge on 22nd of October. PSG take the case to CAS after UEFA rejected the appeal against the ban. CAS say they go publish the reasons behind their ruling for a few weeks. Neymar injured as he break a metatarsal and come miss both legs of the tie against United. All right, now what we get for now top this very o'clock for news on the hour for Plus TV Africa. For better and plenty information, you can follow us at Plus TV Africa for Facebook, for Instagram, and for Twitter. And it will make sense if you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa. We go still the summer and plenty other to read them as time they go. My name, I promise Nero, and I thank our website that they join us. Una, well done.
She is the queen of the oil and gas sector in sub-Saharan Africa. Folorunsho Alakija is one of the richest women in the world. She was born in Ikorodu, Lagos in July 1951. She is one of 52 children of her late father who married 8 wives. At age 7, she traveled to the United Kingdom for her elementary education, returned to Nigeria to attend Muslim High School in Shagamu. She attended Pitman's Central College, London. Folorunsho loves fashion and business, so she studied fashion design in the UK. Nigeria beckoned, and back she went to launch her fashion line called Supreme Stitches. On her return, she won Best Fashion Designer of the Year award. She is a lifelong trustee of the Fashion Designers Association of Nigeria. She married Modukwe Alakija, a lawyer, and they have 4 sons and 2 grandchildren. She got an oil prospecting license in 1993 to drill OPL 216. She is the executive vice chairman of Famfa Oil. Folorunsho Shaw is an author, a philanthropist, and owns Rose of Sharon Foundation, which empowers widows and orphans. She briefly displaced Oprah Winfrey as the richest black woman. She reportedly spent about £5 million on her son's destination wedding at the Belhaim Palace. And this is The Mogul in 90 seconds.
This TV station, Plus TV Africa, is designed to help to create a paradigm shift. The more we tell our stories, the more we learn from whatever our past mistakes have been.
We can be much more than we are. We should be doing a lot in refineries.
And we are definitely investing in our staff. We're training, we're developing, we're creating the kind of workforce that will be the envy of the international broadcast. The quality of the reportage, the quality of our presentation, the quality of our production will be obvious. We're saying that we want to reach Africans wherever they are and get the message across to them. That's what Plus TV Africa is all about.
Country people, we dey thank una one that joined us on top News on the Hour for Plus TV Africa.
This na number 63 Massey Street for Itafaji, where building just collapsed by 10 a.m. this morning.
They say the Oga of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, don't tell federal government say if they provoke him, it go cause wahala for inside the country.
Because if you be British citizen, no be say you go enter Niger, come cause kasala, run go Britain, go stay in peace.
Them say na the diesel truck catch fire as they try offload the diesel way dey inside. Come out, fire department come try quench the fire.
For the first time for Niger, every go enjoy television news for Ogbonge Pidgin English.
For more tori, make una kukuma follow us at Plus TV Africa on top Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Make una subscribe to our YouTube page and for Star Times on channel 308.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Awesome experience. It was cool to me just because like I see these guys all the time on FIFA.
Yeah, you're fanboy over here talking about oh my gosh, there's Goetze. Oh my gosh, there's Hummels. Oh my gosh.
Nah, it's just great just
oh my
to see
gosh.
drop when you
Bayern Munich
and Borussia Dortmund.
2 clubs, 1 mission.
We'll do all we can to be champions of Germany.
We want to stay number 1.
Dortmund had brought in a returnee from Munich and some exciting new faces.
And Brandt! That's the way to do it! Bayern have upped the ante in superstar style with Felipe Coutinho.
Getting the chance to play for a great club like Bayern is also a big responsibility.
The club's summer U.S. tours were followed by an early head-to-head for the first silverware of the season, the Super Cup.
You always want to win these games. It's victory or nothing.
Then curtain up for the Bundesliga. Alcácer, it's another one! Lewandowski! The title race is underway and looks set to be contested by these sets of players. Let's take a closer look at the squads. August 16th, 2019, Munich's Allianz Arena. After almost 3 months, the wait was over. The Bundesliga was back as Bayern hosted the campaign's curtain raiser. Behind the scenes, the record champions had been desperately looking for new superstars. Even their own players demanded fresh faces. Finally, Felipe Coutinho was on his way on loan from Barcelona. He's tasked with adding a certain spark to the squad. The Brazilian favours the number 10 position, one that Kovac has previously not had space for in his team. Another loan signing is Croatian World Cup finalist Ivan Perisic. And 2 world champions, Lucas Hernandez and Benjamin Pavard.
Bayern München are hoping to take their first step towards an unprecedented 8th consecutive Bundesliga title. So who can stop the red machine? Borussia Dortmund came incredibly close last season, but Bayern München showed that they have the hearts of champions.
The Bundesliga has a problem. Bayern Munich have dominated for 7 straight years. The league will only stay interesting if someone can seriously challenge them in the race for the Meisterschale. Bayern's first opponents on matchday 1 were Hertha Berlin.
Stage is set. A stadium holds its breath. A country holds its breath.
This young girl has never seen a different team crowned German champions. Could that now change?
Last season's title race went down to the final match day.
Come on! Oh, it's the start of title dreams here for Bayern.
Sancho, it's 1-0 Dortmund! Right on the stroke of half-time.
Alaba there, and Bayern back in front in the title hunt. Raise with me the Meisterschale, which says FC Bayern München are champions of the Bundesliga for 7 successive seasons. They are the team who still set the bar, raise the trophy, and set the standards.
The season is over. It was one full of hope, and Dortmund letting things get away from them. They're a young side, still a little bit of naivety. Borussia Dortmund are runners-up. It's been a long, hard season.
Congratulations to Bayern. They did really well, especially over the back end of the season. We'll tank fresh reserves, get started on training again, and try to do even better next season.
But first, it was time for a lucrative promotional tour, with the team traveling to the US. Clubs are working hard to gain a following outside of Europe. Amid the pre-season preparations, their expectations are as high as ever.
We'll do all we can to be champions of Germany. That's the precise wording, and it's definitive. Mats Hummels is back. That's a good thing, which I think will become increasingly evident over the coming weeks. Up front, we've got even more variety now, and all in all, we're in a good place at the moment.
Dortmund now have more variety up front, not least with Julian Brandt on board. He's one of Germany's most technically gifted attacking midfielders, recruited partly thanks to the sustained efforts of national team colleague Marco Reus.
We'd chat about it in the changing room, and everything he told me about the club was positive. Whatever he said, he sold it to me anyway.
Another attacking addition is Thorgan Hazard. The Belgian wants to be better than his brother Aiden. At At Dortmund, he has the platform.
Borussia Dortmund want to win the Bundesliga, and having that bit of added pressure is no problem for me. I actually thrive on it.
Stronger in attack, stronger at the back. One more new face at Dortmund, Germany international Nico Schulz. To start, there was a workout at the Seattle Seahawks training ground, where American football is usually the name of the game. Germany's #2 club last season, putting in the hard yards to now go one better.
Very impressed. It's incredible here. And it's typical for the USA. When they decide to put something together here, they do it properly in every way. It's just really impressive. Fantastic.
Doing things properly in every way is also Bayern's credo. The champs had a US tour on the summer program as well. One of their stateside stops was Los Angeles. And their fans were thrilled to give them a warm welcome upon their arrival.
What I've seen so far, all these fans turning out to greet us, it's great. We're Bayern München, we're the German champions, and we have to show that we want to stay #1. That means working even harder in training, upping the pace even more.
For their latest title defence, Bayern have beefed up at the back with Benjamin Pavard, who many know from his World Cup heroics with France. He won the title in Russia and, of course, is hungry for more.
Bayern always aim high, obviously. We want to win the league and cup, and also do a lot better than last season in the Champions League. I want to win as much as possible with Bayern, and I know we'll get there.
Another French world champ for the back row, Lucas Hernandez, signed from Atletico Madrid for a club record €80 million fee. And he has his eyes set on continental success.
Internationally, I'd like to win the Champions League. It's a fantastic competition. With France, I want to get as far as possible at Euro 2020 and hopefully win the title with this tremendous team.
Still on the road back to full fitness, Hernandez missed out on the US trip. Meanwhile, his new teammates rolled up in Houston to the NRG Stadium, home of local NFL side, the Houston Texans. With cheerleaders firing them on, Bayern took on Real Madrid.
Lewandowski with a glorious touch and turn, and a marvellous goal. Gnabry, another one.
A 3-1 win and a goal from Serge Gnabry, who performed a special rendition of the Stir the Pot celebration for the man who came up with it, NBA superstar James Harden, scorer supreme for the Houston Rockets. This time in the role of spectator, complete with a post-match meeting with his student.
It's cool to see those places, to play in a stadium like we did today. I think the atmosphere was amazing from both supporters. So yeah, for us it's cool to be over here, to see the fans, to do the marketing, and just have a good time.
These two also had a good time. Robert Lewandowski and Carmelo Anthony, 10-time NBA All-Star and 3-time Olympic gold medalist with the USA. He clearly showed the Bayern striker a few tricks out on the basketball court.
Over in Indiana, Dortmund were getting their own American sports experience. Mats Hummels and Roman Bürki, in the company of 2 NFL stars, Kenny Moore and Matthias Farley. And they were quite impressed by how their Bundesliga counterparts adapted to playing with their football ball. A common name, but a very different game.
So I go back, I go right, and then I go back. Okay, we switch! Go, Roman! everything with our arms, throwing, and they can kick it exactly where we could throw it. It was pretty impressive. Right. And then they couldn't throw it, you know, in the same way, but it was an awesome experience.
It was cool to me just because, like, I see these guys all the time on FIFA.
Yeah, you're a fanboy over here talking about, oh my gosh, there's Götze. Oh my gosh, there's Hummels. Oh my gosh.
Nah, it's great just to see these.
With that, it was back to doing what Dortmund do best at Indiana's Notre Dame Stadium. Current capacity almost 78,000, virtually the size of their own Signal Iduna Park. Another top-end friendly, Dortmund against Liverpool under former Dortmund coach Jurgen Klopp.
Here is Gio Reyna. Klein struggling to clear, and Alcácer! Torgan Hazard, there's no flag. And Delaney! Now it's Brun Larsen, and that's 3.
A 3-2 victory. Title race preparations were coming along nicely.
No, very happy with the win. Liverpool's a great side. Obviously, them winning Champions League last season, so yeah, they're a very good side. We're just pleased that we got 2 wins while the trip in America, and yeah, you know, we're getting back fit. That's the main thing.
Bayern rounded off their tour with a win over AC Milan.
Oh, that's a beautiful ball to Leon Goretzka.
Then it was off on a long-haul flight back to Europe. Time for the last part of pre-season, the Super Cup, a fairly meaningless trophy, but an early litmus test in the title race.
Obviously, we want to win this one. Any title that's up for grabs, we want it.
Anyone who's ambitious wants to win these kind of games. At home to Bayern as well. Everybody's looking for a Super Cup success.
We want to win every game. It won't always happen, but it's always the aim. In that sense, it's victory or nothing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a good test for us, and I'm sure they can't wait to play us again, so yeah.
Winning titles is always special for me. It's a one-off game, and if you win it, it's another trophy for the cabinet.
It is the DFL Super Cup here at a true temple of football, the Signal Iduna Park. And thrust together are the Bundesliga's big two, Borussia Dortmund and Bayern München. Trying to turn this chance into an early goal, and they might just do that. Marco Reus. And now Alcácer with Neuer all the way out. Is it going to go into the back of the net? No. Kimmich, inviting ball, and Coman. It's got to be surely. Lewandowski couldn't put it over the line.
Nico Schulz for Dortmund and Bayern's Benjamin Pavard were the only new faces at the start. But the standout performer was 19-year-old Jadon Sancho, an incredible talent.
Sancho trying to bore a hole in the Bayern defence. The young Englishman, beautifully done. Alcácer! Sancho and the charges truly on here for Dortmund. Will it be a second? There's the answer. Jadon Sancho! Counter-attack, and Bayern caught. Sancho makes it 2.
I just tried to stay relaxed really, because I know in them situations it can be hard when everyone's watching, and I just kept composed, and I just found a gap through his legs, and I'm just happy that I got the goal.